Namaste. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Global Humanitarian Techno and Art Exhibition 2022, organized by Anuragyam, Delhi. It is basically a 4-day event for awareness about the Earth Day through activities and competition. So, today we are here for a panel discussion. Today we have with us an eminent scientist, the finest expert from the industry, Dr. Anuj Sinha sir. Sir, from the total Anuragyam team, I welcome you to this program. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, and thank you very much for the audience also. सबको बहुत बहुत नमस्कार and very good evening.
Yes, sir. Actually, a man who doesn't need any introduction. Dr. Anuj Sinha sir is like that. But still, I want to introduce sir to our audience. Dr. Anuj Sinha, advisor and head of National Council of Science and Technology and Communication, NCSTC, Department of Science and Technology, Government of India. He worked as a chemical engineer for several years. He worked as a policy maker and framing for the national and science technology throughout our country. He worked as science broadcaster, science communicator. However, he has experience in diversified fields. Sir, we are very glad to hear from you. Now we will start because our viewers are also eagerly waiting to hear from you. As we are here to celebrate,
Welcome. Welcome.
yes, sir. As we are all here to celebrate the Earth Day program through awareness and activities. So, my first concern of question to you, sir. You worked as a chemical engineer for several years in heavy chemical industry. And we all know many of the chemical waste come to our ecosystem and causes harmful effects. So what are the hazards coming from the chemical industry to the ecosystem, and is the hazards are properly managed or not?
This is a very uh, complex question. Uh, Let me say this way that every chemical is toxic. It
Yes,
depends on its concentration. So even water is toxic, oxygen is toxic, nitrogen is toxic, everything is toxic. But in the right proportion, they are life-giving. So now when we are dealing with a chemical industry, a factory, whether we are making some simple product or whether it is a complicated product, um, the people who are involved in the designing have to look at all possible conditions. What will happen if there is a leakage? How will we handle if we have to take a scheduled shutdown? What will you do if you have to take an emergency shutdown? So we have to decide not only the process flow, the technology that we will use, the raw materials that will come, and
yes,
therefore the products that we will get. We desired is the product that you want at the end of the uh, at the outlet of the plant. So you want some detergent, or you want some soap, or you want shampoo, or whatever, toothpaste. That is what you want at the end. But you can therefore have choices as to what will be the raw material that you will take, what process pressure that you will work on, what will be the effluent that will come out, and all this is depending on all the factors that you have, and therefore the regulations of the particular state. For example, Himachal may have different outlet regulations. Delhi may have different regulations, and maybe Punjab will have different regulations. Um, some countries are a little more relaxed. Some countries are very rigid. So all those relaxed conditions are already available. And now it is for us, therefore, to work out a design, make the correct selection of technology, and then set up the plant. And after setting up, then you have to operate it. Day and night, you have to operate it. Most plants run 24 hours. So once you have started it, you don't want to shut it down because you have reached a certain temperature, you have reached certain pressures, and you want that they should continue to operate at the right optimum temperature, optimum pressure, all the reactors. Then only you will get the product of the quality that you desire. So generally there will be no accidents. Generally there will be no leakages. Generally, I mean, say everything will run in control. All the effluents will meet the requirements of the particular state regulatory authority. Then only they give us the license. Otherwise, they don't permit us to start a process plant unless we are able to demonstrate that our products and our effluents are all meeting the specification. Now, of course, there can be accidents. And one major accident which perhaps the younger people won't remember, but the seniors amongst you will remember, was in 1984 when Union Carbide at Bhopal, which was otherwise dealing with manufacturing toxic pesticides. They wanted to shut down that plant, and many of the parts of the plant were shut. But there was a leakage in a tank from which a gas escaped, and that gas harmed a lot of people who were at that time asleep in the neighborhood of the factory. So this methyl isocyanate escaped, and there was not adequate information amongst the people as to what is to be done if this gas escapes. The plant operators took immediate action, and yet by the time they were able to control the gas, uh, a lot of people had already succumbed to the gas, had become injured, had started running, and there was complete chaos. A lot of things happened. So accidents can happen. So when you're dealing with a chemical, you must understand its implications. When you're storing something, you should know what will happen if it is not properly stored. Those are issues. But generally, when we deal with heavy chemicals, when we deal with any positive chemicals, we should know how what will happen, and we take care of the possibilities that will come. So there have not been too many accidents. We have been very smart, very good, but there will
Yes,
be. There is no doubt about it. Thank you for the question.
yes, sir. As you said, absolutely, we should take care from the raw material to the product. Accident may happen, but it can be checked. So another concern of matter is, sir, over past 10 to 20 years, we are just thinking and talking about the sustainable development. So what actually we want to do with that sustainable development, and can it be achieved by just restoring the resources we have, or for the sustainable development we are just exploiting our resources?
Um, See, it's new knowledge and new wisdom that is coming to our now, I mean, say, as part of the discourse, whether it is that which is happening at global forums or that which is happening at local forums, we are gradually being told about the implications of our action and decisions that we have made in the past. So we have taken perhaps routes um, which were not necessarily the most optimum. But at that time, at that particular time when we took that route, particular decision was perhaps very correct. But
Yes,
today, we realize that there is an implication, and that implication is dangerous. And we need to come back to our drawing board and start thinking things again. So we know that there are 9 boundaries which which have been identified and which we have almost touched or sometimes even crossed. Hmm. And these
yes,
include, of course, that which is well known as carbon dioxide. Um, we know, I mean, about ozone. We know about all the other things. There are nine such limits to our planet, and we need to not only we, I mean, say all industries, whether they are in the developed countries, whether they are in the developing countries, or I mean, say whether they are in the middle countries, they all need to sort of take into account what is happening. And some very good stories also are there. For example,
yes,
refrigerants. We realized that our refrigerants in refrigerators and air conditioners were such that they were burning a hole in the atmosphere over the south pole, and that was leading to ozone depletion. So we have, once we realized it, we have reworked our refrigerants, and now the refrigerant that we use in refrigerators and air conditioners are such that they do not harm the ozone layer. So it is possible for scientists and engineers to rework the necessity of use of certain chemicals, and whether it is being used as surfactants, whether cleaning agents, or all the usage of such chemicals has not only to be banned but also has to be replaced with something which is better and equally affordable, and it has to be available. So that has come. So sustainable development as concern is not just for the sake of discussions and deliberations, but it is also a challenge to researchers and scientists to go back to the laboratory, work out solutions, try the solutions, and then tell the industry that look, this is the way to go forward, and they will definitely go forward, even if it means investing some money to make the changes. So that is possible for the corporate world to do if there is a solution which is afforded to them. So I would think that sustainable development is an important issue, and it
yes.
is not just discussion and dialogue, essay writing competitions for school children, but it is also something which is very, very meaningful for researchers in the corporate world, in the laboratories, all over, and for us to find solutions very, very quickly as we realize the implications of our usage of those chemicals. So we will have to look at sustainability, I think, as a major challenge for higher education, for frontline working in every
Researchers
field.
work. Yes, absolutely, sir. We can't stop industry, we can't stop growing, we have to grow with it, but we should find the solution. As there is a problem, there must be a solution. And as you said, sustainable development needs more R&D research than just essay writing in school. Absolutely, sir. Uh, in present scenario, sir, when we are going to any school, college, or meeting any youngsters, even kids in our house, they are more concerned about the planet, about the environment than us. They have a very perfect aesthetic sense. What do you say about this? Because as a science communicator, you meet many such students in your life. So, what is your idea about our youngsters are really concerned about the environmental issues or not?
Um, to be very, very frank, the youth today is very, very smart. So much smarter
Yes,
than
they are good.
our times. When we were students in schools and colleges, our concern was limited to our immediate, say, an examination is coming or an assignment has to be submitted, or we want admission to a particular course. So we were very, I would think, focused on narrow personal things which we could handle or not handle, or that we want a mouth organ, and which my parents are not giving to me. So I mean, say, I'm very sad that I can't get a mouth organ. which is, I'm just giving an example from my real life, that it was
Yes,
not very
yes,
expensive,
yes,
but it was not available to me. But today's youth, I think, is very, very smart. One, they are much better informed. Maybe the course syllabus has been continued to be improved. So there is discussion in the formal classroom also, in classes 8th, 9th, on the subject of environment. Ecology and environmental
environment.
awareness is part of the books that my grandchildren are
Yes,
reading at the class 6th and 7th also, maybe
yes,
even
sir.
younger.
Yes, sir.
So there is much more awareness about all these issues, and they are very smart. They realize that our generation has not done the right, perhaps by exploiting all that was available. So if we wanted gold, we went about digging deeper and deeper into the earth to bring gold. If we needed silver, we did, I mean, the same thing for silver. If we require lead, we do mean say get the lead outside. If we want uranium, we go about trawling, I mean, say, kilometers and kilometers until we get adequate uranium, because we want to run our nuclear power plants. So, or we want coal because we are still dependent on coal. We are doing open cast mining, which has now been banned. Or when we want to build roads, we go about cutting trees. Supreme Court has, in fact, just day for yesterday, given an
Yes, sir.
announcement that the road between Dehradun and Delhi, an expressway that is coming, uh, that can be permitted, and 11,000 trees will be cut. But there are now, I mean, say, safeguard that they are implementing with, that they have to ensure that the trees that they cut are not entirely making the place bald, but that there will be new plants that have to be planted and ensure that there is a regeneration of the forest that they are going to demolish. So the youth today, I think, is very, very smart. They are very keen. They are going to be the voice of tomorrow.
Yes,
So
sir.
when I visit youth parliament or senates, I find very, very good discussions that are taking place, and it is very difficult to justify the course of action which our generation and the generation before have made and taken, which appeared to be very often rather short sighted. Because in my own career of, say, 35, 40, 45 years, I have seen major U turns that we have had to make in our way of working and thinking and development. So we keep on, I think, learning from the young people their concerns, and it is good that they are raising these concerns. And I do
Yes,
hope that we should continue to encourage them to be able to not only highlight what they feel is important, and also encourage and guide them to do the best. One very good example that I have seen in the past 3 4 years is this: say no to crackers, or use
yes,
only organic colors during Holi.
holy.
And both the things, I think, have come up from voices of the youth.
Yes,
And
yes,
if it is their own realization that by making by burning crackers, bursting crackers, they are polluting the atmosphere, that they are harming the pets, and therefore they are the ones who have made this issue. And I've seen in my family also, and I'm sure you must have seen in many of your own families, that the
yes, sir.
children themselves are not conscious, and they are prepared to find alternative means of enjoying Diwali and celebrating it, or enjoying Holi and celebrating it, but in a less harmful way.
Yes,
So we can do it, and that is the youth who have done it. So I'm very proud of the youth, and I'm very hopeful that whatever other solutions and other problems that we'll have, the solution will come from them, and they'll also implement it.
yes, absolutely. They identified the problem, they started solving it, solution comes from them only. But still, so still in school, colleges, in our universities, we provide only theoretical part to them. still they lack in the practical thing. What do you say about this? We are almost provided all the resources, all the problem solving practical skills to them, or we need to provide more. What we are doing now?
Prajna, I am very strong advocate of
Yes,
practical skills, hands-on knowledge, and not limiting ourselves only to theoretical knowledge. And it is very important, the point that you have raised, that we should have in our laboratories, in our schools, in our colleges, adequate facilities for the teachers to be able to give them time, guidance, and for the students to be able to do things with their own hands. And also the various activities that we encourage, competitions, events, science fairs, the
yes,
Children's Science Congress. All these are also motivating the young people to actually do research and get an experience of hands-on understanding, collecting data, analyzing, and then being presenting it. So it's, I think it's really important that this thing should continue. And whatever is happening in some of the elite schools uh, is
yes,
very remarkable. But we need to do it with all the schools, government schools, smaller schools, village schools, and it's a great challenge. And I think my former department when I was working took this as a challenge. They tried very hard, and they should continue to flag this as a major program to ensure that there are adequate kits available, adequate DVDs available, YouTube knowledge available, which will allow the youngsters to be able to do things with their own hands, get the confidence of being able to use equipment. Um, Technology is now, I mean, say, reaching out to more and more people, and we need them to be able to handle it. So
yes,
I think there is a lot of scope, and I'm sure uh, that whatever we have done should serve as an example for the other institutions to sort of follow with improvement. Because whatever we did, supposing in 2015, in 2022, it may be still out of date. So we need to perhaps
yes,
update ourselves and implement even smarter things now in 2022. And the last 2 years were a difficult period because of the COVID restrictions.
oh,
But now I think the restrictions are being withdrawn, and we need to restart all the field activities, outdoor activities, science camps and campaigns, and of course, whatever we can do hands-on. So, one two ideas which I thought I'll just share here. One
yes, sir,
is,
yes,
every child, and I don't know how many are listening to the show today, should try
yes,
and build uh, a nest for a sparrow. It is not a very difficult task.
yes, sir. It's not very difficult task.
Wooden box, um, and implemented so that sparrows come back. And it is important that in any biodiversity studies, you will know that every species has a role, and the way sparrows have disappeared is a major concern. So, if you can, each of you, resolve that in the next 1 month, 2 months, during the summer break, take upon you the challenge of at least building one nest for a sparrow family. And you will find that every year the sparrows will come and, I mean, say, use it for growing their own families. And that will be a great contribution. The other is that you have to define the concept, but I want that every school should become a zero waste school.
Food.
All the waste that we generate should be recycled, upcycled, used, and the minimum amount should be actually adding to the municipal solid waste. It is very much
Yes.
possible for an institution like any good school to be able to do it. Uh, so maybe a zero waste school is something which every school can aspire for, and be able to talk about it. Okay, look, our school is conscious of its role
Yes.
as a neighbor in the whichever town or city it is in, and it is adding to the solution and not becoming a remaining a problem. So it is very much possible for us to do it. It is doable, small steps, and try to do it in the way that is best suitable. So maybe a nest for a sparrow and a zero waste school. Let's see if it can be done.
Yes, sir. As you said, Nest for a Sparrow and Zero Waste School, it is already initiated. We have taken the baby step, but it has to be implemented in large scale. And we all are responsible for that. Not only the schools, the teachers, the students, we all the citizens, we should think globally
Yes, every
to do
family,
it.
every family.
Yes, family to do it. Okay. So, what the next concern is how we educate the society or our people to just reciprocate the ratio of the product and supply. What we know, we have some natural resources is limited, but we are exploiting the products as much as we can. How we can reciprocate it?
Um, See, it's a very complicated question, and it will require a
It's
very
a
detailed
major,
discussion.
it's a major
But
concern, sir. It's a major concern.
yeah, of course, it is a great concern. We have, for example, just an aside, we have realized that we need electric vehicles. Very good.
Yes,
And how will the electric vehicles run? They will run with batteries, and these
batteries,
batteries have to be rechargeable. What will be made of? Lithium ion. Where is the
lithium ion.
lithium? Tell me, where is lithium? Lithium is all in Ukraine, and we are having a big war
Yes,
in Ukraine.
you can.
So the next spot for, I mean, is para somewhere in South America. Uh, so the whole thing depends on so many, I mean, say, factors. We have our modern cars today have so many computers inside it. They have a 32-bit chip computer, and the
Yes,
production of cars is stopped because the chips are not available. So today, whether it is Tata's or whether it is Mahindra's or whether it is Maruti or whether it is whichever, uh, Hyundai, they are reducing. They are not able to reach their production levels because they are short of chips.
yes,
So where do you sort of see yourself in this game of resources becoming suddenly short, whereas technology is available? So
yes,
we have to, I think, look at the larger picture and try to see that the solutions that we offer are the ones which are best under the circumstances. And
yeah,
this is, I think, when we are trying to sensitize young people, then the examples that we take should be local examples. Because if I keep talking of Antarctica में ऐसा होता है, Arctic में ऐसा होता है, my
yeah,
audience has never been there. They have probably seen some program on television or something where they know, okay, there are seals and polar bears and penguins, but that is about all. But if I give examples from the locality, then I think the implications and impact will be better. And one, just as an example, I was just thinking, um,
yes,
the 1981, 82, when Prime Minister Indira Gandhi intervened and stopped a hydroelectric project coming up in Kerala. It was coming up in the Silent Valley, and there were people who were at that time agitating and trying to convince the government that the Silent Valley is an ecosystem that needs to be preserved.
yes,
And uh, discussions and deliberations. At that time, television was not so popular,
yes,
uh, um, but they went to the judiciary, Kerala High Court, then Supreme Court. Um, I think the example, because it became that the lion-tailed macaque, which is a monkey which has got food preservation के लिए जाल से है, that is a very rare species and that was endangered. So
yes,
once the scientists at that time, um, conservationists, environmentalists, a good friend of mine, Romulus Whitaker, who runs or was running a crocodile farm, also a snake farm near Chennai. He came into the picture. He made a lot of noise, convinced people that the lion-tailed macaque is important. And then the court also took a correct view, and Mrs. Gandhi's government took a bold decision by saying that no, we
no,
will not pursue this. So the example was a local example. I think it was more convincing. Had they been talking about some exotic species in
yes,
some island of New Zealand,
definitely.
maybe it would not have carried the same conviction. So it is
Yes,
important that the examples be local. And we just mentioned about the Dehradun Delhi expressway coming up. I
exactly.
think the Supreme Court has put up a committee with Dr. Anil Prasad Joshi and many other great environmentalists to ensure that the highway project can continue, but that there are adequate measures made to see that the green cover is restored. And I've also seen even the Indian Railways have ensured at some places that the natural corridor by which the animals migrate, they are left untouched, or they are provided a flyover type of thing,
Yes,
and the railways can continue their operations. So gradually that awareness is coming and it is being
yes,
reflected in the decisions being made by administrators, by good governance, and by engineers and technologists, which are
definitely.
such that it makes a difference.
Yes, really. We need to think about the sustainable development, how to extract and how to use, reuse, and recycle it. We need to think
Yes,
about it.
absolutely.
So, yes,
Absolutely.
yes. Sir, a major concern is that how we will make understand a layman who doesn't know science, technology, anything. He or she just live in a village doing all the works. If we are going there and we will tell them all this thing, the ecosystem, the environment is polluting, or this year's theme invest in our planet, they will not understand a single point. So how
Absolutely.
the science and technology reach to them so that also they can contribute to the society?
Uh, Prajna, fortunately you are not my boss. नहीं तो मुझे मार डालती तुम तो.
No, sir, all these things, but we thought you were so knowledgeable, sir. What I can say about this?
Okay.
I have only
Um,
the scoring I am asking you.
नहीं नहीं ठीक है. Um, see, we have many initiatives that take us to the tribal areas, to backward villages, to what we call aspirational districts. See, Niti Ayog has identified about 200 districts as aspirational districts. That means they are not meeting the parameters of the average and they are below the average, various parameters. So they say that we should encourage um, the ingress of science and technology in these districts, hmm, which is a big challenge. So you're right. I can't go about telling them about Venus and Mars. Hmm. फायदा
Yes,
क्या उसका? He'll say कि
that's
हमें
the
क्या
point.
मतलब? So I must talk about uh, cleanliness. I must talk about sanitation. I must talk about health. I must talk about nutrition, uh, and I must talk about life below water, life above land. which directly impacts on them. So if I focus on these issues, uh, then I have your attention. If I say this is
yes,
going to impact on your child, who is in your lap or who is about to begin school or is now in middle school or high school, and is going to make a difference to him or her, then I have your attention. Whereas if I miss out on that and I talk about uh, whatever, how I mean, boson is a God
yes,
particle, Higgs boson is a God particle, true. But
yes,
it makes no difference to the common
yes,
man to talk about Higgs boson. So I must talk about cleanliness, I must talk about nutrition, I must talk about health, I must talk about food, I must talk about local produce, I must talk about food preservation, I must talk about ensuring that the livelihood concerns are my focus. And then maybe if I have the attention, I also talk about the pets and animals that he has, because for every small family, even keeping goats, sheep, cows, pigs,
guys,
buffaloes is their wealth. If
yes,
when the uh, housing schemes were built about 30 years back, there was a huge Awas Yojana being done, and the houses were allotted. But people would not be living in the houses, people would be keeping their animals in the houses because they felt that my buffalo is more important to me. I have spent maybe
yes,
18,000 or 20,000 on the buffalo. We
yes,
haven't even been sleeping under the thatched hut. So they would continue to sleep under the thatched hut, but they would put their buffalo in the house. So
guys,
that is how it is, that we have to look at the concerns of the local people. We talk of exotic things, that this is very good, here's how it should be done. But you have to look at the lady of the house who is managing a family of maybe three children, four, five adults in the house. Maybe I mean, say her parents or grandparents or her husband's parents are living with them who are maybe sick, um, and then maybe there are other people who come and go, stay for some
yes,
time, and then so all that responsibility is hers. She has to get water, she has to get firewood, she has to get look after the goats.
yes,
And then we tell her some exotic thing that ke, ye karna hai. So that will never, I mean, say, catch her attention. When she has spare time, she would also like entertainment.
yes,
She would like to watch maybe a television program or listen to the radio. We all do. If I want to entertain
yes,
myself, I also look at television programs. So why shouldn't that lady watch a television program, whether it is inside her house or whether it is in a neighbor's house? If she knows that there is something entertaining coming, she would like so like to go and have a look. So it's her entitlement. If
yes,
a man is taking rest, he's entitled to rest because as a government employee, I was working for 5 days and then I was taking 2 days off. Hmm.
yes,
And if I worked on a Saturday, I would I mean, say, think that I have done a great sacrifice to the government by coming on a Saturday and doing some work. Uh, so,
yes,
but the thing is that if a man is resting, he is entitled to his rest. Hmm. And we should not say that अब तुम जाके ये काम करो. क्यों? He is also he or she
resting,
when he is entitled to
resting,
rest. So we should look at the concerns of the local people, the tribals, the aspirational district residents, and try to develop a mechanism by which whatever we do is entertaining, is maybe a puppet show, maybe a street theater, and then there is a message in it which also is relevant to them. So
right,
whether it is in inoculation for their animals, I mean, goats and sheep require vaccination. Uh,
right,
Horses and cows require vaccinations, and they are neglected. If they fail, these cows and goats and sheep die. If they die, they get no value from the market.
man,
Hmm. So, except for the leather, skin. So, we need to be able to package our entertainment, our in a way that is entertaining and is effective. So, we need to be perhaps a little more customer oriented कि किसके लिए हम कर रहे हैं एंड देखो कैसे करें If we can do that, I'm sure it will be more meaningful. I'm sure there are lots of good people doing it. मैं नहीं कह रहा हूँ कि मेरा बड़ा wisdom है इसमें. बहुत से लोग कर रहे हैं, बड़ा अच्छा काम कर रहे हैं. Whether it is in Madhya Pradesh, whether it is in Chhattisgarh, whether it is in Uttarakhand. But only that those of you in the audience today, अगर आप लोग कुछ करना चाहते हैं, ये आपके लिए भी मैसेज है कि please do and package your program in such a way that it is entertaining, that it is in their spare time for them, and you are able to send a message which is relevant to them. You will definitely be welcomed. You will be asked to come back. You will listen to them. They will also listen to you. और नहीं तो वो ऊँघते रहेंगे. They will be thinking कि मेरा इस समय I should have been watching television and ये आके बात कर रहा है. So
Yes,
health, well-being, clean water, sanitation, ये बड़े important issues हैं. Nutrition, inoculation, vaccination for the animals, nutrition, feed for your chicken, feed for your ducks, feed for your fish. बहुत important है कि वो कैसे feed तैयार करता है. And अगर वो नहीं तैयार कर पाता है तो the fish don't grow up to their correct size. They don't get value in the market. तो हर एक की जीवनी के साथ जुड़ा हुआ रहना चाहिए. And then you are sure, say that you will get a wide audience and they will be able to catch your message and implement it.
yes, absolutely, sir. Because I live in Odisha, so personally, I know how many tribal areas and tribal peoples are living there. They don't have sufficient food, water, clothes, houses, even electricity. If I am going there and talking about the Mars, planet, and Venus, they will not
Conservation
understand.
electricity
Yes,
conserve करो कहेंगे पहले दे दो conserve तब करेंगे. After you have given
yes,
me power, I'll try to conserve.
then
But if my power supply is for 2 hours or 3 hours and government records say कि हाँ 100% electrification हो गया, बहुत अच्छी
हो
बात
गया.
है.
But वो
Electrification हो गया, power comes for only 2 hours or 3 hours. So
yes,
you're right.
वो चार
We need to
वो
worry
चार
about it.
वो 4 साल बाद भी वैसे ही रहता है,
Basically,
10 साल बाद भी वैसे ही रहता है.
हाँ,
There is no change at all. So
we
we need to bring from the grassroots level only. The
yeah,
sanitation, the hygiene, the food, the shelter, then only they will listen to us. That's true,
बिल्कुल.
sir. So there's
And
a lot.
if you go in a air conditioned car and get down wearing Western clothes, we have lost the audience completely. Right
Yes,
from to the time you step out of the, they will listen to you because they are polite, but they know
yes,
okay, these are as good as some American or European expert coming and talking about
talking about all these
whatever.
things. So we need to
So,
think from the grassroots level to rectify it. Then we can think of
Prajna,
the
I
how.
wanted to tell you that many years back, we had an intervention in Kausalya Ganga uh, near the Central Institute for Fisheries Technology, and that is an ICAR lab.
Lab.
And it
Okay.
was a very successful intervention. Why? Because the project investigator targeted women. Hmm.
Hmm.
And they introduced what is called successional aquaculture, which
Okay.
means that some fish would be maturing in, say, maybe the January to April. Another lot will start maturing from maybe April to August. A third
August.
lot will start maturing from October to December. And
December.
therefore, all the year round, you will get table fish being produced from that lakes there, ponds there. And she ensured that the women, while they had spare time, would be doing repairing of the fishing nets. So, because that was another problem, and she put that as a separate income generating activity. It was giving them returns. Then the food feed preparation for the fish. Mm. So a lot of things happened in that particular project. They're
Yes.
now 30 years old, 35 years old. But I think,
Yes.
say, sustainable livelihood was what this project was able to achieve. I hope that the project is still running now with the help of the local
Local people.
village people, because the scientist would have left. I forget her name, but That was, I mean, how it was designed, and we were very impressed when we studied it, and we realized that it is possible to do projects which give you sustainability, which are replicable, and which are doable. So that actually more and more areas can now implement that. She also did planting of trees around the each pond. And many other things she did, including I think she arranged for air-conditioned transport vehicles for the fish to be transported to the nearest market, mm, and ensure that they get good value. So it is possible to do things in a way
Yes,
which is sustainable, and we all that we require is a better vision amongst us who are so-called interventionists, scientists, technologists. When we go, we should be able to go with a open mind, see the conditions, and then implement that which is most relevant.
yes, sir. We should find
This
out
is
the problem first, then we will find the solution. Okay. So, sir, thank you for answering all my queries. And I think my viewers also get the knowledge, the information about all these things. So, one last question, sir. What will be your message to all of us as a science?
See, today we are doing this on the uh, Earth Day,
For the Earth
which
Day?
was
Yes,
started 72 years back by an American senator,
yes,
Senator Gaylord Nelson. And he felt that we need to devote more than one day, actually. It should be a whole week. So it is nice that your organization is actually organizing it as a Earth Week, so which is
yes, sir.
very good. And the theme that 2022 is also mentioned by you. It is invest in the planet. So,
Definitely.
like any investment, when we make an investment in a company, if I want to invest in say Indian Oil Corporation or Life India Life Insurance Corporation, when I make an investment, uh, then I become a stakeholder. Then I am concerned that whether my 10 rupees is becoming 10 rupees 1 paisa or 10 rupees 2 paisa, or is becoming 9 rupees 99 paisa, 9 rupees 98 paisa. So investment is a very good parameter by making me a party uh, to the whole game. So in the planet, our planet, we have only one planet. I saw a T-shirt and a child. It said there is no planet B. I think that is important. That there is no planet B. We have to deal with this planet only. And all our space probes that have gone to the moon or had landed at Mars, or maybe I mean say they'll touch or fly by Venus or something. Oh, they will tell us that there are problems uh, that we cannot solve just now with regard to the temperatures, with regard to the gases, with regard to the atmosphere, with regard to the there is no alternative space available for us. We have to live on this planet only, and we have to make the best use of that planet. Yeah, and that means that the new generations that come should not have to face a bleak future because we have been short-sighted.
Yes,
So it is the message to the audience today is not the young people, but to the gray-haired people like me that find solutions which are a little showing more concern for the future of the youth, for the coming generations. And that is, I know, challenging, very exciting, but doable. If we are able to use our knowledge, continue to expand our knowledge, and find the right methods of doing things. Let us not be stubborn. कि मैं तो ऐसे ही करता हूँ करो. Let us look at it. What else can be the method of doing it and do it. So the message is not for the young people. The message is for the oldies, the teachers, the families who are listening to us. That please uh, try to see that young people have a brighter future. And great. It's been very nice talking to you, Prajna. And I do hope that
It's
the
our,
audience has enjoyed.
it's our pleasure, sir, to hear you. It's a wonderful, informative session. So it's our pleasure. We are blessed to have you. So from on behalf of the total Anuragyam team, I thank you once again to joining us and give us such a wonderful information. At least I got answer of all my queries. So all my viewers are also there. So sir, thank you once again for coming and
Thank you.
joining
Thank
us.
you so much.
Thank
Namaskar. Have a great time. Bless you.
thank you.